Hey readers, and welcome back to the club. I'm your host, Ashlyn, and I'm joined by literally my favorite blondie on the planet, the backbone of this podcast, who shows up no matter the circumstances, Katie Hoyt. How are you doing, Katie?
I am hanging in there. So I just want to first and foremost apologize to everyone. I am still overcoming a little bit of a head cold, so my voice is like a little annoying. I will be coughing a lot, potentially blowing the nose, but I'll try to mute so that you guys don't have to endure listening to that. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube and you see me grab this roll of toilet paper over here, I'm sorry, but like it is what it is. We have a job to do here, and I've showed up and I'm ready to do it.
Exactly. We have a job to do here. And the only reason why we're filming this while she's sick is because she's trying to let me enjoy my vacation in peace. Jake and I are going to Scotland when this episode airs, we will be in Scotland. And so I'm so excited to go, but it made it kind of crunch time. So we filmed the May episode like 2 weeks ago, and now we're filming the June episode. It's like literally June, what is it? The 8th or something.
Yeah.
And so, it's been crunch time, but we have to do what we have to do to make sure that our summers go as planned. And
Yep.
so, speaking of summer, have you guys had any fun things pop up since we talked last? Any fun summer events?
No, none whatsoever. Actually, my only notes were that I was sick this week. So, like Ashlyn said, it's been 2 weeks since we recorded. So, the only things that have happened since then are I've been sick this week. And then the weekend before, I did celebrate a birthday, but I wanted just like a day of rest at home to do whatever I wanted to do. And that's exactly what I got. It wasn't any frillier than that. So, that's literally the only thing that I have to say that's happened.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Happy belated birthday to Katie. I meant to make a post for you on the club, but true to
That's
form,
okay.
totally forgot.
That's totally fine. No worries. What about
Um,
you?
yeah, nothing really. Since we talked last, I think I have gone on 2 hikes. So it's finally summer hiking season in Utah, which is kind of like a conundrum because it's so beautiful out and it's like you just want to be outside, but then you get out there and the sun feels like you are literally on Mercury. Like it is
Yeah.
so fucking hot. Yesterday it was only 82, but I felt like it was 105 degrees in the sun. But we went up and did
Yeah.
a hike. A lot of the mountains, or like, I guess technically they're the canyons between the mountains. If you go up in the canyons, it gets a little bit cooler because of the elevation, and then you can
Yeah.
find some nice tree coverage. So that's what we did yesterday. And we also went to Barnes and Noble and got some really exciting books. Let me just say, I don't know that this is going to be a thing, but because I'm going to Scotland, I did purchase Outlander, and I will keep you all
Okay.
abreast. So we went to like one of my work events the other night, and everyone was like, "You're going to Scotland in a week, whatever. Are you so excited? Have you been watching Outlander?" And I don't watch TV shows. And so, just for lack of time, not because I don't find them compelling or cool. Like, I like TV shows, I just don't have time. And so, I was like, "No, I haven't watched it." And they were like, "Well, have you read it? Like, you're a book person." And I said, "No." Is it sort of like, I kind of thought it was like historical fiction, magic stuff. And apparently, it is relatively historical. Um, and there are some historically accurate things about it, allegedly. Um, but it's apparently smut, and no one told me.
Okay. You know what? So, because that's a show, right?
It is a show.
Okay. I want to say my friend Allie said that she started the show not really knowing, just knowing like this is a popular show that people really like it. And she was like, it was raunchy. Like I was not prepared for what I was going to see on my TV screen. So you'll have to keep us abreast on how that goes for you.
Yeah, I have heard that the show kind of overdoes a lot of it and that it can be like a little bit sensitive. However, I was just like, if you guys had told me it was smut, I would have read it a year ago. But I literally thought it was like Game of Thrones. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I kind of thought it was like dry boy fantasy. But
Yeah, no,
apparently
that's
it's for the
exactly what I
girls.
would have thought. Okay, well, I guess we'll see. But I'm really happy for you. Hopefully, you have lots of time to read. You're going to be on a plane for quite some time with nothing else to do. So you might as well get some good reading time in.
Yeah, exactly. And oh my God, this is such a big deal for my reading girlies that I got a pair of the 90-degree reflective glasses for the
Yeah.
plane. But the thing is, like, I have chronic like neck pain because my job is so weird whenever you think about it. But I am technically a doctor, but I feel like I do a desk job most of the time. Like, you would not understand how much of it is just like sitting at a computer. And so that compounded with my 9 months of breastfeeding, I
Mm-hmm.
seriously had the worst neck problems. And so I had to do like physical therapy and a lot of like maintenance
Mm-hmm.
workouts. But I also feel like reading played a really big role in my neck stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just thought the other day, let me just get this pair of glasses for the plane. But they came in so quick. They're from Amazon. They're like $20.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They are the best things I've ever gotten. You can lay totally flat in your bed. They're called lazy readers.
Mm-hmm.
Totally flat in your bed and read your book.
So nice.
It is wonderful. So I'm planning on using that obviously in the plane to sit up straight and just have my book sitting in my lap and not have to crane
Yeah.
my neck. But what a whirlwind of a difference. Those things have changed my life.
I can't
And
believe that they're like clear. Like, I feel like anytime I look through glasses, like, of course it's clear and you can see, but I feel like there's still some kind of like, I don't know, like fog or something over the glasses, especially if it's changing the angle at which you're looking at things. Like, I feel like it would almost be, I don't know. I can't
I know.
describe what
I
I'm
will,
thinking of, but
yeah. I will say I tried to use them for work one day. Just like at home, I was sitting at my table with my computer, but you have to move your head so much to like look down at your keyboard and then up at your computer that it made me
yeah.
dizzy because it's changing the way that you move your head. I wasn't like
Yeah.
prepared for that, and so then I wasn't seeing what I expected to see. So it kind of threw me
Yeah.
for a loop. I do think eventually someone could get used to that, but I feel like using them just for reading is enough for me to get a little bit of neck
Yeah.
relief.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So that's kind of all the updates in my life. Like nothing really crazy going on, but there are some things happening in the culture that I wanted to discuss.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. No, you've been on top of sending me all of the book news these last 2 weeks. And thank God. See, this is what happens. Now, all this book news would have come out and we would have had to wait 4 or 5 weeks to discuss it. But now, since we're recording so quickly between
Yeah.
episodes, we finally are like going to be, some of the first to relay the news.
Well, that's only if this episode comes out early.
Right. I guess this only applies to me and you were the only ones who get to talk about it.
At least we're going to talk about it at the time of discussion. Like at present, we have not like heard any interviews about these things or seen any other podcasts talk about them. And so these are
Yep.
just kind of like our, what's the word? It's just kind of like our raw reaction to everything. We haven't even talked about it
Yeah.
to each other.
Yep.
So the first thing is Divine Rivals got picked up by Paramount for movie adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
I still have not read this, but I wanted to get your thoughts because I know that you have.
Okay. I think that this will be great because you also made a note on here. The writer is the same person who wrote the script for To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And have you watched those movies?
Have I watched those movies? Have I read those books? Like, I'm obsessed.
Okay. I thought the movies were so cute and well done. Like, anytime a new one came out, I was like, you're kidding. Like, couldn't wait to sit
Mm-hmm.
down. Like, if my husband was, traveling for work or something, could not wait. So I think this is perfect. My only thing with Divine Rivals is that it's like very mildly fantasy. So I'll be interested to see how they kind of like pull that element in. But I think that this is like such a cute, sweet story. It's so, I don't even know how, it's just like lovely. I don't know what other word to use to
That
describe
is
it,
what
but
I've heard so many times is that it's not really like super high stakes, super raunchy. It's just like a very good love story with a little bit
yeah,
of magic. And
yeah.
like, I don't think I've met anyone who has rated it less than like 4.5 stars. Like, everyone loves it.
Yeah, and I will say I really liked book 1. Book 2 fell flat for me a little bit, but the thing about Divine Rivals is that it's new adult, so, like, there is a sex scene in it, just one, but I think it is perfect for TV, like, you'll be able to show it because it's not overly descriptive or
Yeah.
anything like that, like, it's really, really sweet because they're so young, and so I think this is actually perfect for a movie adaptation, and I mean, I'll certainly be watching it, especially if it's produced in the same way as To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Yeah. I also, and again, speaking with ignorance here, I'm assuming that it having less fantastical elements might make it a little bit easier to produce.
That's exactly kind of what I'm thinking because even though it's, like, still set in what we would maybe deem, like, the real world, I would almost say maybe more like London vibes than, like, American
Hmm.
vibes, but really cute, like, you don't have to do all of this magic type stuff. It's almost like more Matilda energy where it's a little bit more like magical realism than it is
Yeah.
fantasy. Maybe once you get more into like the second book, which I was hoping would be filled with a lot more fantasy, but it just kind of doesn't work that way. So I think this is a perfect choice to adapt, and I think that'll honestly be pretty easy for them. They can just because yeah, there's not a lot of fantasy. They can just
Yeah.
produce it as normal.
That'll be good. Yeah. And again, I'm just excited that it's the same person that did To All the Boys because as someone who read
Same.
the books first and then watched the movies, they did a great job. There were obviously some things that just can't go into the movie and you have to leave some things out, but
Right.
from an overall plot perspective, it was very good. And
Yeah.
then also just like the choices for the actors was perfect.
Yes. No, I completely agree. Like they nailed it, and I think that these characters that are in Divine Rivals, I'm hoping that they'll cast like nobody's new on the scene people because it would be so easy to cast a cute young girl and a cute young boy who like nobody knows but everyone
Yeah.
knows their story already. No, I think this is perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like from now on, and we've learned this as a society, what we need is the antithesis of It Ends With Us. Like, you don't pick two mega
Yeah.
stars and throw them together in this movie that has a cult following and expectations
Yes.
from a huge audience.
Yes.
You gotta pick somebody new and someone more malleable, I think.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Someone who's not going to start all of this drama because, like, poor Colleen Hoover, she just thought, "I'm so lucky. These big stars are going to be, in the movie about my book," and like, yikes.
Yikes. I'm talking about like deactivating your Instagram account. Yikes.
Yeah.
Like, bless her. Okay. So, in the same vein as the adaptation, so the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver has also gotten picked up by Amazon actually to be a TV series. And I think, have
Yes.
you read these?
Okay, you know what? I thought that I had, but I think that this is a different one. No, okay, this is the one that we talked about back a couple of months ago that's like wild love, wild
Wild
side,
card.
wild eyes. Like this one, I have not read any of these. However, I have read um the one that's like reckless, fearless, heartless. That one, and it is so good. And I imagine I'm pretty sure that all of her series, while they're not necessarily like interconnected, the groups of people know each other.
Yeah.
So she's got, I believe, 2 other series outside of this Rose Hill series, and the people are distantly connected to one another.
Okay.
So, I just have to imagine that this will be great, and it got picked up by Amazon.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
that's
good
great
call.
because she writes really spicy
Yeah.
scenes. And again, like I haven't read any of the books in this series, but I think Amazon is a good platform for that. And
Now, is she
hopefully
the
they do it
one
well.
that it's all based in like Canada?
Yeah, but it's like cowboys.
Yeah,
So,
Cowboy Canada.
and what I was just thinking of is there's a newish show on Netflix called Ransom Canyon, and as soon as I saw the preview for it, I was like, wait, this is like giving my cowboy romance books. My mother-in-law watched it and she said it was really good, but I haven't had an opportunity to see for myself. And I believe that if that did well and people liked it, there's definitely going to be an audience for this show, even if you don't read the books. Um, but I've always liked Amazon shows. I think they do a great job. And anytime there's something like on Amazon, me and Hoyt love to watch their shows. So this is also
Yeah.
extremely exciting.
Yeah, they do a really good job. And I think that like most American households like have one female that is like down to watch a cowboy romance. Like it's not like a
Yeah.
tough it's not a tough space to fill, or like I think there's an audience built in even if they haven't read the book like you said. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be tough to add new stuff to your content plate in particular because Love Island USA is out
Oh my
and you're
gosh.
busy.
And
Booked and busy.
yeah, no, I am every single night, 8 o'clock. We got to be on the couch. And what's even worse is that now Love Island UK is going to be streaming in the US starting June 10th. I mean, June 12th.
There's gonna be an overlap?
Yeah, which there always is. But it's nice because like the episode comes out, at midnight our time for UK, whereas US doesn't come out until 8 p.m.
Okay, so you
our
could do
Central
like a
Time.
6 or a 7 and then an 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So our nights are filled. I'm gonna have to do all of my reading like in the afternoons before bed because like I have Love Island to watch. It is
2
the
hours.
best. No, it is seriously the best. So excited. This is the first week of Love Island US, and yesterday on Saturday was the first day that it was like not a real episode. They do like episodes every day, but some of them are stupid where they do like they call it unseen bits, or they do like After Sun that's like an interview style with different islanders,
Oh, okay.
from
Yeah.
the past. And so After Sun was last night, and of course we didn't watch that. So now tonight we're back in business, and I seriously cannot wait.
I have not watched Love Island since I watched Molly Mae and Tommy's season, and I just feel
Oh
like
wow.
I'm not interested in anything because it doesn't really get better from there. So I'm like, I've seen it, I've done it.
Yeah, there are very few seasons of Love Island that top that season. There's a couple. Last year's Love Island USA was like, you can't write reality television better than that. Like, literally every day, me and Hoyt would like wake up and talk about it. It was seriously the best show on television. Like to this day, honestly, it was so good.
That's really funny.
So
Okay,
good
so
that to the point that they are now making a new show with people from last season. Like pretty much
like a
everybody that was in the house.
spin-off and just
Yeah.
are they gonna throw them in a house together, like Summer House kind of, Jersey Shore vibes?
I believe that's kind of like the energy that we're going for.
Now
So,
that
yeah.
sounds like something I'm interested in watching. I
Yeah.
just have recently gotten into Summer House because I needed like a mindless watch,
Yeah.
and I knew that there was drama in real time right now, and so I'm catching up, but I'm still only like 3 seasons in or something.
Mm.
So I've got like 4 left, and it is taking me forever, but it's been really, really, really good. I love Summer House. So
Yeah.
I feel like I could get behind that. The last time I watched Love Island, I just had way too much secondhand embarrassment and just like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard for me to get through.
Oh my God, wait, Ashlyn, I have to tell you this. Okay, there's already been so much drama on this new season of Love Island. But there is a girl on this season, and her name is Bella. Have you seen any of this? Do you know what I'm talking
No,
about?
I've only seen a girl named Huda or something.
Okay. I want you to guess how Bella spells her name.
Bella,
Mm-hmm.
Bella, standard. But I'm guessing that's not
No.
the answer since you're
That's
the
yeah, that's not
suspense.
the answer. Okay. BELLE dash letter A. And so now
What?
everyone on TikTok has taken to calling her Beldasha, which is she is like hang on, I gotta
Where
cough.
is she from? Utah, probably. Or, second guess, Kentucky.
Okay. She's originally from Oregon, but she lives in Hawaii.
Her family started out Mormon.
Okay, yeah, I don't know, but she's young, so she's 22. She's also like Christian, so like the first night she wouldn't kiss any of the boys, like she would only let him kiss her on the cheek. Like she's really sweet. Which like doesn't really fit with the show, but like to each their own. Like it's Love
Yeah.
Island, everyone's different, whatever. But she is so cringy, not in like a chuggy way, in like a she can't say a real sentence. She can't have like a real conversation. Everything is like everybody just keeps saying she's like the period period kind of girl. Like everything. She's like, I know that's right. Like everything, even in conversations
Oh
like with the guys,
no.
it's just like, oh yeah. Like just every I don't know that I've heard her say a real sentence the entire time. People are like, I'm begging Beldasha to speak in true sentences, please. It's
Feldasha is so fucking funny.
I know.
Um, but I actually felt the same. Maybe it's not to that extent, but whenever we were watching um, Love is Blind, I felt like a lot of
Mm,
those characters, even though they get into more serious subjects, a lot of them speak with such rot brain. There's just, they don't
yes.
have real vernacular. They don't actually have a vocabulary. It's just whatever has
Yes.
been on the feed recently. And sometimes
Literally.
that's funny in certain circumstances, but whenever you're trying to get to know somebody, it's just almost like, okay, where have you been the last 30 years of your life?
Yes, and it's also like I want to see your personality, not just like the way you've learned to communicate via TikTok. Like I
Yeah.
want to like actually talk to me about yourself. So, yeah, it's been really crazy. Like there's this one girl on the show, Huda. She's a mom and she like waited a few days to tell her guy and they are like infatuated with each other and have been since the first day. Like so crazy. This one girl,
People on Twitter hate her.
oh really?
Yeah.
Do you
That's
know
the
why?
zeitgeist. There was this scene where basically, like, I guess they were like coupling up and she chose her guy. And then she was sitting there. And then, like, the two other girls were waiting to, like, pick theirs. And she was like, y'all deserve better than this. I feel bad for y'all. Y'all deserve real
Oh
men. And everybody's like,
yeah.
girl, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Because she's like, my man, like, stood by me. And it's like, this is literally you've known this man for 2 days. Like,
Yeah. He
you
could
need to
still be
calm
a serial
down.
killer. You do not know.
Yes. And then the girl, Olandria, she's from Decatur, actually.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. She was like, you can stop. Like, we don't.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I saw her. I saw her. She's so
Mm-hmm.
pretty.
Oh, and there's this other girl, Shelly, is like the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my entire life. Um, but yeah, they're so fun. Like it's a cast of characters. This guy Austin is like such a weirdo, so cringy. And then Shelly like met this guy Ace outside of a bar in New York one time, and then they both ended up on Love Island. Like really crazy. There was this girl.
What?
Yeah, there was this girl named Ulissa who like there was a podcast that came out of her saying like a very awful slur. And so literally it's like day 2 of Love Island, the episode airs, and it's like, it's morning in the villa. Ulissa has left the villa. And that
Oh,
was the only thing that we heard
oh
from it.
shit. It must have
It's
been bad.
yeah, it
Is
was really
that
bad. Like,
why the first episode, I kept seeing everyone saying like it was like an hour late or like really late?
oh my God.
I wonder if they were having to edit all of her out and like kick her out.
Okay, so I don't know. No one knows the reason, but yeah, it was 40 minutes late. Everyone was fucking pissed. Twitter was so funny. Everybody was like, I already ate all of my snacks. Like, where is my show? Um, but yeah, no one knows, but they like let her be on the first episode. And I believe after that, TikTok just like lost their minds. Like, get
Yeah.
this girl out of here. She's going to be the first one that we vote off. And then she's since issued a statement like, I didn't know then, but I know now. Like, this podcast was years ago. And somebody was like, meanwhile, the podcast was in 2024. So, yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
crazy. It's been crazy, but fun nonetheless. And Hoyt keeps saying he's bored, and I'm like, literally how. Like, this is pure entertainment. I don't know how they've managed to replicate this from last season again, but like they did it. They nailed it with this cast.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm happy for
Yeah.
you guys. I mean,
Yeah, same.
it sounds like you're gonna be tied up in the afternoons until, like, August, September, but happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, me too.
So there's
Okay,
one more
we
thing on our
can
list, but this you had added it, so I wanted to let you talk
okay.
about it.
So, Jessa Hastings, which is the author of the Magnolia Park series, if you guys haven't heard me talk about it before, I am obsessed with this series. She is releasing a new book on July 15th called Time of Your Life. She did like all these teasers for it. It was all like really cool, like 90s vibes. Like it's her in like a bedroom with like 90s posters all over the walls and stuff. So I believe it's like set in the 90s, and it's like your classic like boy band heartthrob
Oh,
meets like yeah,
cute.
meets like it girl supermodel. And Jessa is just like the queen of writing like upper echelon, hot people falling
Gossip
in love.
Girl-esque.
Yes, yes. So I'm really, really, really excited about it. The only thing is that the Magnolia Park series is not finished. There's one more book that she has to write. Actually, there might be two, but regardless, the book that everyone is dying to come out, like she hasn't written it yet. And so she just announced this book. She also just had another book come out like earlier this year. I'm going to say in like April, called The Conditions of Will. And so I'm like, girl, stop writing new things, please. Like, we need Daisy. Like, what
We
are you
are ready.
doing? Yeah. So, anyway, that'll be exciting. I'll definitely read it. My boss read The Conditions of Will and said that it was absolutely magnificent. And I believe that's like standalone. You don't have to have read any of the like
Okay.
Magnolia Parks, anything. So, I highly recommend her books, especially Magnolia Parks. Like, if you want to be addicted to something,
Mhm.
that's your book.
Yeah, Katie was, like, not sleeping, not eating, not drinking, like, I was concerned about her mental well-being and physical
Yeah, yeah,
well-being,
yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Um, so if you're ready.
I am ready. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna dive into our, probably pretty long review of Silver Elite by Dani Francis, and the reason I say that is because we have a lot of fodder about the author herself. So typically, we'll start out with the author biography and book synopsis, which I will still let Katie read the author bio, but then I have some things to discuss.
Okay. Let's get into it. So, this book, Silver Elite, is written by Dani Francis. Dani Francis is a New York Times best-selling author of Silver Elite. She is an avid reader, a lover of all things breakfast, and a hopeless romantic. When she is not creating high-stakes fantasy worlds and complex characters, you can find Dani spending time with family or trying to figure out why the printer never works. Okay. Is this Rebecca Yaros? Why would you put that in there? That's
Okay.
so cringe.
I'm glad you asked because obviously this is very cookie cutter, not giving you a lot of information where she's from or like who she is. Like there's
Yeah.
no photo online available. Um, and so the whole internet is speculating that this is somebody else, that Dani
Mhm.
Francis is a pen name and that it's an author. I don't know if everyone's on the same bandwagon, but basically that it's an author either in a different genre or has written something before that maybe wasn't popular and just trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
Um, and that basically that they're an established author.
Okay.
But the speculations are kind of crazy. Have you looked into this at all or seen anything on Instagram?
I've like seen people saying that, like I saw everybody say that this is Sarah J. Maas. But people pretty much saying exactly what you're saying. But I don't know that I've seen any like, oh, I did see someone say like, you can't convince me that this isn't Colleen Hoover, and I forgot what their argument was. But yes, I have seen that people are saying that this is not Dani Francis is not a real
Is
person.
not real. And the thing is, like, regular authors use pen names anyway. Like, half of the
Mm-hmm.
bitches in the fiction section are like Hannah Jane or like Danielle Key or, like, just like first,
Yeah.
middle. So I'm not really like, I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm against the thought that this could be somebody else. But the thing is, the people, think that these are high level authors like Colleen Hoover or Sarah J.
Mhm.
Maas. First of all, have you read a Sarah J. Maas book? Like, if you have read this
Mhm.
and you have even the smallest inkling that it could be Sarah J. Maas, I need you to pick up a Sarah J. Maas book and reread because you obviously missed a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is not Sarah J. Maas. This is not the quality that we've come to know and love from her. So,
Right, right. And so the other thing is that there's this big Reddit thread about how people or like why people think this could be Elsie Silver.
okay.
And here's the thing. So this is published by Del Rey, which is a branch of Penguin Random House.
Mhm.
But she's published out of Canada. And Elsie Silver is obviously from Canada. This book is called Silver Elite.
Okay.
And it's just, people just think that, you know, maybe she wanted to branch out and see how it would do without having her name actually attached to it. But I don't feel like that would be a good use of her time. Like, she's Elsie Silver. If she put something out, then her
Right.
fans would read it.
I completely agree. I
And
completely
same with
agree.
Colleen Hoover.
Yeah.
But I was so bored last week at work, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna dive in. I'm just gonna like figure some things out and see if I can like put any pieces together if I don't think this person is real.
Okay.
Um, and I came across something really funny. So after reading this, I do kind of agree with everyone that it seems like this person is either really into reading or has written some sort of niche romance, like cowboy or mafia or like dark romance.
Okay.
Definitely not fantasy though.
Yeah.
Um and okay, so she's published by Del Rey. So I went through the Del Rey authors just to see like, you know, maybe they would just pick it up as a one-off because they already have this other author. And
Uh-huh.
I came across this author. I've seen her name a lot, but I didn't know who she was, and it just made sense. But have you heard of Danielle Steele?
Yeah, she wrote all the books that my aunt used to read like in the 90s, like
Yes.
like classic 90s romance books.
Yes. So her name is Danielle Fernandez Steele, and I was like, okay, that works. Because I was looking for Danielle. I was like literally searching.
Oh my god.
So I'm like, but I keep seeing her books pop up on Del Rey and Ping Random House, and like it's just popping up one after the other, and I'm like, this is it. This is it. This has to be it. And then I click on her bio, and she's like 77.
No, she's like
She's
an
like,
old woman. That's so fucking funny. But the name, oh my god. Wait, and she's with Del Rey?
she's with Del Rey, or she might just be with Penguin Random House. I think it was Del Rey though.
Okay.
And I was cracking up. Like
That is
when
so
I clicked on her, it
funny.
was so funny. But I don't think that her books are like actually spicy at all. There is romance, but I think it's more like
Yeah.
coming of age, womanhood
I agree. I think it's more
novels.
like your like classic romance, not necessarily so
Yeah.
spicy. Maybe they are. I have no idea.
I looked it up because I was like,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
could this have been her? But it seems like there's not really much romance, more like closed door or like fade to black
Okay.
type of situation.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong though. I don't know if we have any Danielle Steele listeners, but anyway, she seems to be like a very serious author, trademark. And so I don't think this was her, but I was
Yeah.
giggling at work thinking about like this 77-year-old woman writing this
That
sci-fi
is
novel.
no, that is so funny, especially because the characters are 20 and
I
22.
know.
It's so funny. Like
Yeah.
no, like she didn't write this, especially because I feel like there was mild. I wouldn't even say slang, more just like I remember there was one part at the end of a chapter. It was like because that's not concerning or something like that,
Yeah.
and like
This is a 20
like
something that wrote this. And
yeah, yeah,
actually probably early 30s, could be millennial. Probably is
yeah.
millennial actually. Um
No, if you're talking about figuring out why the printer broke, like you're definitely, I would say elder you can't convince me this is not written by Rebecca Yarros. I'm sorry.
That's really funny. Imagine the reason why Onyx Storm was so fucking bad is that Rebecca was putting all of her pussy into writing this book.
No, the way I fully believe that she's with Random House, isn't she?
I'm actually not sure. We can give it a Goog. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, I feel like she is.
Um, but the only other like Danielle I could really find that was a Random House, or not a Random House, but a Del Rey publisher person was Danielle L. Jensen. And I just want to say, I
No.
went to Barnes and Noble yesterday. Why are we still reading these books? Why? Okay,
Yeah.
she's with Simon and Schuster. Do we know who
Oh,
that is?
okay. I've heard of them before, but for some reason, I swear when there was all this debacle about there was going to be, it was either, I can't remember if it was Iron Flame or Onyx Storm. It was like Random House had posted this new like book, but it didn't have a cover. It just had like an ISBN, and people were speculating that it was going to be like a special edition, either Iron Flame or Onyx Storm. I can't even remember now. And I swear I thought she was with Random House, but I must have been mistaken.
Yeah, and I don't see that this is Simon and Schuster also publishes Colleen Hoover and a bunch of these like Love and Other Words, Christina Lauren. But I don't think that they're a branch of a Penguin Random House though.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced that this is not someone who's an elder millennial. I'm sorry, like who the fuck cares about the printer? That's such
Who's
it's
using a
so like
printer?
yeah, it's so like kitschy, like
Yeah.
cringe millennial rhetoric. But yeah, Danielle L. Jensen, that book, that second book and that god awful story that we read came out I think like earlier this year, and the way I have not seen one person talking about it, like her books are
Yeah.
awful, and
Well, here's
she
the thing,
certainly
like
did not write this.
I don't see people talking about it, but then you go in Barnes and Noble, you can't get away from her books. Like
Oh
they're
god.
on table displays, they're on the new, they're like facing you in all of the fantasy sections and the new adult. And I'm like, stop. Literally stop.
Yeah, there's so many better books out there than Danielle Jensen.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm looking for like an actually renowned author in the fantasy sphere, and I'm looking and looking, I can't find it. And then I finally found someone to ask, and they're like, "Yeah, it's behind the counter." I'm like, "Why isn't it on the biggest display in this
Right.
godforsaken store?"
Right.
Ugh. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's Dani Francis. Those are our thoughts. Those are our speculations.
Mhm.
Now we can dive into the book, and I'll start with the synopsis, and then we can talk about
Okay.
how we felt.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the synopsis. Trust no one. Wren Darlington has spent her whole life in hiding, honing her psychic abilities and aiding the rebel uprising in small ways. On the continent, being modified means certain death, and Wren is one of the most powerful mods in existence. When one careless mistake places her in the hands of the enemy, and she's forced to join their most elite training program, she's finally handed the perfect opportunity to strike a devastating blow from inside their ranks. Lie to everyone. But training for Silverblock can be deadly, especially when you're harboring dangerous secrets and living in close quarters with everyone who wants you dead. And whatever you do, don't fall for your greatest enemy. As the stakes grow even higher, Wren must prove herself to Silverblock, but that's easier said than done when your commanding officer is the ruthless and infuriatingly irresistible Cross Redden, who doesn't miss anything when it comes to her. And as war rages between mods like her and those who aim to destroy them, Wren must decide just how far she's willing to go to protect herself, and how much of the continent is worth saving. So that's that on that. If you didn't read the book, now you have, and we're good
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. I hated this. Like,
I hate
why?
that it's in like 3 parts that are titled and bold, and like,
Yeah.
I just wish there was more left to the imagination, but
Yeah.
that's kind of how we always feel.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay.
I have nothing else to say.
No, me either. So now I wanted to move into like a general discussion, overall thoughts, but I have it broken down into some categories because I just had so much to
Okay.
say, and I felt like you might also. And so the first thing I just want to talk about, like the general plot,
Okay.
like premise type of stuff. I personally am a huge dystopian girl. Like I always loved
Mm-hmm.
dystopian novels. This was kind of giving Divergent. Um, what other book? Kind of Fourth Wing, obviously less fantasy, but like I just like
Yeah.
the training and the like academic-ish system of everything.
Yeah.
Um, and I really, really liked where this was going, especially in the beginning whenever there's like discussion about the radiation giving certain people kind of magical abilities, but not
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And that it's like the map you can tell is like a destroyed version of like the US and Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really liked that. And I felt like, I don't know, I really liked the starting point.
Mm-hmm.
But then as we got further into it, it felt like it was sort of like a bunch of different types of novels like smashed together. Like it
Okay.
kept trying to veer toward one way or the and then it would like kind of pivot. And I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but like at the beginning it was like, okay, dystopian, got it. And then after that it was like wanting to be like more like um kind of more fantasy. Like she kept saying certain things that made me feel like she wanted it to be more fantasy than it was. Because I guess this is
Mm-hmm.
technically a sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then there was like this fated mates type of situation that felt fantasy, and that didn't really work out. And then there was like this romantic aspect that almost felt dark romance that was weird. And so I
Mm-hmm.
felt like it kind of was a hodgepodge at the end. It wasn't really like this is dystopian sci-fi. It wasn't straightforward.
Okay, I don't know that I necessarily felt that way. However, like one of the things that I wrote, like at first, I did not, I was not vibing with this book because it reminded me of another book that I read called A Touch of Gold and Madness, which everybody freaked out over, like was obsessed with. I thought it was like mediocre at best, like corny as fuck at worst. However, like we swiftly got past that and then I ended up like really enjoying it. One of the things that I don't know if I can like fully explain this, but something about the writing took me a while to get used to. Like I don't know if it felt like juvenile at the beginning, which honestly is fine because the female main character is only 20 years old. But at the same time,
Mhm.
I feel like in the world that she's created, where she's like this trained, pretty much like, I guess, assassin, like because she's so good with, a gun and like she knows how
Mhm.
to fight. She's got these like really, she's really skilled like with her abilities and everything. And just like the state of the world, like I don't know that that writing style necessarily fits the heaviness of like the world that they live in. So I didn't really like feel that way, but as far as the romance, I couldn't figure out what we were doing. Like I felt like the tension was so good, and then like when we got to the romance, I was so disappointed, and I'm really still confused. I'm like not even opposed to like, what if Cross is not Endgame? Like, what if it's Kane? Or I don't know. I felt confused by a lot of stuff. There was actually a lot of things in this book. Maybe it was Danielle Jensen. Like, you can't ever get to one fucking point. Like, nothing
No,
ever comes to a head.
seriously. Okay, so I'm glad that you brought up both of those things because literally the second thing I have is romance. I was like, we met this guy on page 7, which pisses me off. But then it's like the
Mm-hmm.
romance, it really wasn't doing it for me. It was like, okay, we met and there's like this insane lust. And then it's like overcoming her and she can't think straight. And I'm like, why? I can't figure out why. And then moving on from that, he just like all of a sudden they're just like together. And there was like almost no conflict. And
Mm-hmm.
then they're just like hunky dory, like whatever. But they're still in secret. Like still no one knows that they're together.
Yeah.
It was so hard for me to navigate this romance.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I thought we were like building. I was like, dang, we're at like 50%. They still haven't like had their moment together. Like I was so into it. And then I just was like, it felt to me like she was like, okay, romance, like got that part taken care of. And now I can just like move on to something else. It's like, I'm not convinced. I don't know why these people like each other. Like what traits and qualities, what conversations have they
Well, they
had?
haven't
But like,
had that's what pisses me off. They had no conversations.
yeah.
We're on literally the last 80% of the book, and they're like, she's like, I really want to get to know him. I'm like, you've been fucking him for 3 months.
Yeah, like what are you talking about? It was really confusing. I don't
So
know.
yeah.
There was a lot that was confusing. Something else. Speaking of, I had the same complaint. I think we both did with Onyx Storm. I get that this is military, and a lot of the times, like they do use last names. I seriously need you to pick one. Are you calling them by their first name or are you calling them by their last name? I was so confused until literally I'm almost done with the book. Finally, I got like who was who right in my
Yeah.
head. But it was bothering me so much, especially like if I would. This happens to me a lot if I read a lot. Like one of these days, I read like over 200 pages in one day, and then the next day when I went back, I had read so much at once, I kind of like forgot some of the
Yeah.
stuff, and then I
Mhm.
couldn't remember when they're using a last name. I'm like, I don't remember who they're talking about now. That always pisses me off, and Rebecca Yarros did that as well.
Yeah. I actually like the last name firsty lasty thing, but that's yeah, totally a valid criticism. And then you also touched on the grammar millennial of it all. If she literally said he's not wrong one more time, I fucking hate that. I hate it in real life. I hate it. Like, there's a word for not being wrong. Stop saying it. Like, oh, you're not wrong. Oh, you're not wrong. Oh, he's not wrong. I swear to God, if you search it on your Kindle, it happened at least 7 times.
Oh my God, I did not pick up on that. Like,
It is
never.
so incredibly millennial and modern, and it doesn't fit in with something that's like 200 years in the future. I hated it. I hated that.
Okay.
There were a
And
couple
on,
other like modern isms that she would say, but I can't like think of any right this second.
yeah. And I didn't, I didn't find them to be too like frequent to the point that I was like, oh my God, this is so cringe. But it was, what did I just say earlier? Like, because that's not, I can't remember what like word she said after that. That's not mysterious or concerning, or I don't remember what she said. But there were like a couple of things like that. But I made a note. So I want to talk about the cuss words in this book because
Oh my God.
why
Continue.
are we making up cuss words, like especially because they were also saying damn and fuck, like they were also saying those things. Why do you need hell fuck? So I actually and before I started the book, Ashlyn messaged me and was like, there's something in this book that when you get there, like I want you to tell me and you'll know what it is. And so I like read the first night and I fell asleep so soon, like after I started reading, and I was like, I must not have gotten to it. Like I haven't made note of anything. Immediately when I saw the word hell fuck, I messaged her and was like, oh,
Yeah. And it's on literally page
that's
11. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I actually did a count. So every time they said hell fuck, hell fucker, hell fucking.
What about God fucking? Because that happened a couple
Okay,
times.
I got that one too. So hell fuck and all the iterations 18 times she said it in this book. And then God fuck, God fucker, whatever. God fucking. She said 8 times. So not as bad, but another complaint is like you're such a quat. Like
Yeah.
why?
I don't know. So that's what I don't understand is like you're saying made up stuff, okay, quat, but like one can infer. In
Uh-huh.
that case, and you're saying keen, which again, we can infer. In
Right.
that case, just make up the rest of your cuss words instead of combining ones that are already real.
Yeah, or just like this is it's obviously set in like a dystopian America. You can literally just say fuck, motherfucker. Like
Yeah.
you actually don't have to make up any words, and this is
Yeah.
always something that like bothers me about fantasy books when the female main character is always like on this goddess blessed, I don't know, whatever, like gods, it's always like gods with the S.
Yeah.
They always do that. And there's other ones too, but I just don't find it necessary. And especially like hell fuck, like
Yeah, it
you just
doesn't
combine two already existing cuss
exactly, that's what
words.
I'm saying, like, make something up all the way or just use
Yeah.
what you have available to you because combining them doesn't make them hit any different. It makes it so much
Yeah.
weirder.
Agree.
Um, and then the other thing that I had down for, like, grammar or, like, writing style was, like, you can't say "rip your throat out" if you're not talking about Faye, and that happened at least 3 times. Like, rip your throat out is not something that humans do to humans.
Right.
It's just a Faye thing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like you need to have like teeth or like claws to
Yeah,
to be able to do that. It's not something that can actually happen.
yeah. So, that's kind of that, and then I also wanted to get your take on the ending because I saw your Snapchat, and I felt the exact same way, so I just wanted to get that out in the open before we talk about the characters.
Okay, I felt like it was a whirlwind. And I find this a lot. Like sometimes if I'm reading a book slowly, I'm more like in tune with what's going on and the twists and the turns. But because like we had to record this episode so quickly, I like read the book so quickly. I was kind of not like on my toes paying attention. So I was just letting the twists and turns come at me like as they were. At the end of the day, I don't really even know where we stand with anybody. Like I'm just
Mhm.
mostly confused about what the ending. I have like of course like speculations of what I think, but the ending was really crazy and I enjoyed it.
In the last, seriously, 4 or 5 pages, I was like, "This is so good."
Yeah.
Especially the very, very last page, that note from Jim, I was like, "This literally changes everything. You don't know where you stand with anybody."
Yeah.
But and the good thing about this being Danielle L. Jensen is the fact that, like, you didn't know where you stood with them to begin with. And so
Right.
now you're just like, "Okay, the next book can just take me wherever."
Yeah.
So, I felt like the ending helped me reconcile with the fact that I didn't know anything about anything, and I was like, "Wow, neither does
Agree.
the main character."
Agree. Okay, good. Because I have that written like a little bit later in my notes. Did you have anything else? Or are you ready to move on to our
No, yeah, we can
characters?
go. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with our main character, Ren. What were your thoughts?
I do not like Ren. Um,
Okay.
in the first maybe 100 pages, I thought, "Okay, like, she's okay. She's cool. She has these abilities and she's trained." Um, and then it came to, like, the self-sabotage trope, which I always hate. I feel like that is just so it's just, like, the easy way out. It's so lowbrow. It's just, like, not a good sequence of events. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're supposed to be this, like, powerful female main character and you're spending chapters and chapters and chapters doing some weird self-sabotage stunt without any foresight into, like, "Okay, if I sabotage myself out of this program, where do I go?" I
Mm.
don't know, it just felt like she lacked foresight in general, and they kept saying, "Oh, she's reckless, she's impulsive," and I'm like, "Yes, I understand that, but it still can be done in a better way, a more refined way than what we
Mm.
were given." Um,
Okay.
and I just felt like she never thought things through, and also, someone said this to her during training, like, "You're so cocky, and you're treating us like we're scum to you, but you're failing out." Like, so I don't you
Yeah.
can't really do both, and so that
Yeah.
pissed me off, but I felt like in the middle of the book, she started to come into her own a little bit, but I was still already so tired of her. I don't know. She wasn't my
Okay.
favorite.
Okay. So I at the beginning, I really like her character. I said like as someone who is an extremely lazy person, I can understand like not wanting to go into the command. Like she doesn't want to go through this like strenuous program, not being able to get out of it. Like that feels relatable to me because I wouldn't want to do this. But the fact that like you have no other choice, I agree with you. Like it feels like at a certain point you got to be like, look, if I get out of this program, what am I going to do? Like I'm actually better off doing this. I don't like that it took her meeting with Adrian and the uprising for it to finally come to like
Yeah.
I'm going to be
It
better
should have been,
off.
"Oh my gosh, the uprising doesn't want me, but they'll fucking want me whenever I'm in Silver Elite. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do
exactly.
whatever I can from day 1 to get
Yeah.
there and prove to them that they need me." But instead, it was,
Yes.
like, mopey for the first 2/3 of the book, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, yeah, and by the way, I can shoot anything from far distances," and bang, 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 and,
Uh-huh.
like, showing off, and I'm like, "Okay, this is more annoying."
Okay. Yeah, I know when she's like, "Hey, LT, is that your canteen on the table?" And then she shoots it like so I was like clenching my butt cheeks.
I
Hated that
know.
part.
Yeah,
But
like, we all saw The Hunger Games, we know that this was not an original thought.
yes, but one thing that I appreciated about her is that we didn't have to go through this whole wait, there's no way I have powers and like this can't possibly be. We didn't have to go through the
Oh, yeah, that's so
denial
nice.
of
Yeah.
all of that. Like she's already honed in on all of these skills. Except for like the inciting thing. Like that's one thing that, she's got to get her bearings with. But I actually really appreciated that. And something else that I thought like made sense for um like for once in fantasy romantasy history is that like it felt organic the way that things came about. Like as far as the story goes, I don't love the fact that she escaped to go and try and save Jim. Like that maybe felt a little bit contrived. But
Yeah.
everything else, like from there on out, I was like, okay, this feels like realistic to me. And I always appreciate that instead of like, there were other parts of this book, such as her having her scars removed. Literally, why? Like, you had solid logic behind not wanting to have them removed before. And
Yeah.
then she claims, like, oh, well, I was just like trying to show him that I loved him. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. He,
Again, like, the foresight is not in the room with us. There is no like, she doesn't have consequence-driven thought processes.
yes.
And
No, I
it's like all
completely
you
agree.
you wanted to prove to him that, like, he can trust you. So you can tell him all of these things, and you can just project that memory into his mind and go about your day. You don't and, like,
Mm-hmm.
he got mad for he was so vindicated. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he should have been mad. Someone had to be the one to tell her, like, "This is a stupid idea."
Yeah, no, it was stupid. And what pissed me off even more is that we didn't get that scene. We just get, oh, I went and had my scars removed. And did you know that Ellis is working for the uprising? Like, show me
Yeah.
that. I want to see how that comes about. What did he say to you? Like, I felt like we were spending a lot of time on things that I didn't necessarily care about, and I was missing so much. Like the fact that she's just like, anyway, it's been 2 months since Tana went away, and
Oh
I've
my
slept with Cross
god.
every single night, and I'm infatuated with him. Like, since when? Like, how did that happen? You can't just tell us that. I don't believe you.
Yes, I kept having that same thought, and then we would spend an hour talking about, like, a scene at training, and I'm like, "Why are we still hashing all of this out whenever
Hmm.
there's important things that are just getting swept under the rug?"
Yeah, she's just like, by the way, like, you need to know we're in love now, but like, this is a romance book, like
Yeah.
romance forward. And so you're actually going to have to develop that. Like either make the romance not as heavy as an aspect to the point that we're not so invested in that, or play it out. Like I'm invested in this you've created. She made such good tension at the beginning. I was so looking forward to them getting
Yeah.
together, and then it just like completely fell apart at the end.
Yeah. And then it's like, all of a sudden you're in, like you said, okay, now we're in love. And then you're, like, in love, like, all of a sudden this guy, which we can talk about Cross in a second, but, like, all of a sudden this guy is, like, the person that you've been in love with since childhood, like, your best friend since childhood, and that just fell so flat.
Mhm.
Because it's like, okay, well, now we're even more in love. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, literally when he told her that he loved her, I was like, "Why?" Like, that's
And since
fine if
when?
you are,
Yeah.
but I need to know. You didn't tell me, like, what happened that made you fall in love with her? We literally don't get one conversation with them that is more, like, on the emotional side of things,
No.
like, it's
No, it's
just
all like, "Yeah, we fucked again last night," and then it's like, "Okay, did y'all talk while y'all did that?" Like,
yeah.
no, they didn't, because every scene that we had was dead silent, they weren't talking about anything important.
Yeah.
It's just so confusing because like you said at the beginning, it was a very, very good tension, but
Mhm.
again, that's why I feel like this, if we're saying this is somebody else, this is like a dark romance author or something because it's like, or mafia even, like, it gives you nothing. The only thing you
Yeah.
have to go on is the lust. And
Literally.
once the lust has subsided and you guys have already had sex, okay, then I actually need substance, and there just wasn't any.
No, there was quite literally none. So do you wanna go ahead and talk about Cross?
Yeah. Um, I felt like he was fine in the beginning, again, like, I sort of liked everyone in the beginning of this book, and then they all kinda devolved. And where it started for me with him was that he let his guard down so fast
So
with
fast.
her. He was, in this position of like, I am in charge of you and we can't do this, but like, we'll just like, kind of build the tension, fuck around a little bit. But then all of a sudden he's like, no, I want you. I need you. I have to have you. I'm never like this. I'm never the one that does this and you're everything. And I was just like, "Ugh, I wish you still weren't the one that cared."
No,
I always want someone to care more than they let on, but
yeah.
you're revealing too much.
No, I completely agree. Like, at first, I was so into him. I was like, he is hot. Like, I love that he's mean to her, doesn't give a fuck. I also wrote, why did we meet on page 7? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah.
Um, but like at the beginning, he was giving me like 4 energy, which I love. Like,
Oh, my
be
king.
mean to me,
Yes.
be an asshole. But then he's like, I would do anything for you. It's like, again, that's fine, but why? What happened?
Why? What makes you feel that way?
Yes, and we get absolutely none of that. Like, you can't just say like, "Yeah, we've been fucking for 2 months and now I'm infatuated." Like, okay.
The whole thing is so crazy. It was just weird. Like we've said this,
Agree.
it was just weird. It was 0 to 100 to 0.
Yeah, and there were so many times where I was like, "Is Cross endgame? Is he the real?" But like all signs point to yes, he's the tallest one. He's got dark hair, he's got blue eyes. They have the, like, mental connection that they made
The
since
mental
childhood,
connection,
like,
yeah.
that all signs point to yes, but, like,
But are we sated by that? I'm not sure.
yeah, yeah, exactly, that's a
Here's the
great way to
other
put it.
thing. I needed her being a part of the uprising to be a conflict. How did that get brought in? And he's just like, you know what? I love you anyways. I love you so much that I'm just going to put it behind me and I want you to be safe.
Mhm,
No, no, it needs
mhm,
to be, there needs to be some sort of conflict. And like the only reason why it would be conflicting is because he cares about her. And so, like, I
exactly.
just really needed it to be more developed. So maybe they're like lusty, they're having sex, whatever. And then she, like, snaps out of it, joins the uprising. They are, hot and cold. Then he learns that she's like part of the uprising. And then they hate each other. And
Yeah,
then they find out that they're this wolf and Daisy.
mhm.
And then it's like, okay, they were back together again. I just didn't like how. easygoing everything was.
No, it was really easygoing, and there were, like, no points of contention, and I don't like on a book like this where, like, there's obviously going to be a book 2, there's still so much left to the story, like, that needs to be told. I don't like that the book ends with simply physical distance between the 2 main characters, like,
Yeah.
I need you to hate me again because, like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
We got another book, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna lose interest if we've been in love since day one, and there's never been, like, a moment, like, even, like, a spat between us. Like, book 2, we need to do it again.
Exactly.
So,
You need to literally be broken up at the end of book 1.
literally, like, not speaking to each other, almost hate, or at
Yeah.
least he hates her over something. Like,
Yeah.
there needs to be real conflict, but there wasn't. What was the one thing? Like, he ended up not talking to her for a couple days.
Because he thought that she knew about the ambush.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. That was so short lived. Like,
I
she just
know.
comes to see him, and he's like, "Okay, fine, I love
No,
you."
I
Like,
believe you, yeah.
okay,
The other thing I fucking hated, and I might be alone in this because I just don't like dark romance that much. When the way he, like, got so insecure about that Jordan guy coming in from Copper Block, please, and, like, he sends him away to a
yeah.
different base because he touches her.
Mm.
Give me a break.
No, I completely agree. And what's funny is I like stuff like that in like my hockey romance and my cowboy romance in books that like are corny. But in books like this, it just gives insecure. And if like you're my male main character, you need to know that you are the shit and not be threatened by anyone.
Yeah. Like, invite him over. Invite him to watch you beat the shit out of somebody at pit night. Like,
Yeah.
please don't. Like, he ruined any chance for there to be competition, and it was
Mm-hmm.
so annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Not that there would be, like, that poor guy, but, like, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so now moving on to, like, the friends. Kane, how did you feel about Kane?
Okay. Kane. Hang on, I need to cough. Sorry. Okay. Kane, I just wrote like cute, love. I thought I was going to be so annoyed by the fact that he was like pining after Ren. But when they made out, like, I was kind of into it. I really, really enjoyed his character, his whole personality. And then, so I left my notes just like as they came. And I
Mhm.
just said, like, I was upset when he died, but I couldn't bring myself to be devastated. And I felt like we brushed right past his death. But lo and behold, like,
Yeah.
obviously now that makes sense. But I'm so glad that they're alive. The only thing that I can't figure out was why did he report her, or not report, but like tell on the fact that he knew that she and Cross were
Okay,
having
so here's the
relations.
thing. I was so mad about that when I
Same.
first read it. But see, I felt the same way as you. Like, I loved Kane at the beginning, but I was like, I'm going to get tired of this man. And then I
Uh
didn't.
huh.
And I was like, I actually love him so much.
Yeah.
And then he died, but there was this weird, like, fizzle of the plot before he died that, like, they weren't really hanging out anymore, and she was all about
Mm-hmm.
Cross, but it was still behind the scenes. And so when he died, I was like, okay, well, that kind of sucks, but I'm not gonna go cry about it. It's not Liam or
Right.
anything.
Right.
So then I find out that he told on them, and I'm like, you fucking little piece of shit, you weasel. But
Yeah.
then he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, I'm part of the uprising, and not only that, I'm the pilot, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
Exactly.
"Okay, daddy," but also the reason why he told on them was because he's just doing anything he can to take down the whole system, and so if he can get Cross removed from that
Um.
position, he would, but he didn't. You have to also understand he didn't have any idea that Ren was modified or that she was gonna be part of the uprising, so he's
Yeah.
like, "This girl has to go down as,
It's
collateral
just like
damage, that's
collateral.
okay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense to me. But I loved like that twist at the end, getting to see him, knowing that he's still there. And also, like, even though I do not trust the uprising, I am happy that Ren has someone there who's like a
Yeah.
friend to her who she at least from his perspective, she knows that she can trust. But like I had the exact same thought. So when Liddy like is the one that tells on Ren and everything, and I was like, Kane would fucking never do that. And then it's revealed that he is the one who said that like Cross and Ren were
Yeah,
having relations. I was like, never
maybe he
mind.
would.
Like,
Seriously, like, that sucked. But again, like I now see why it was part of Kane's agenda, and I have to trust that he was doing what he thought was right. So
yeah.
speaking of Liddy, fuck her.
Fuck this fucking bitch. So I have my say I left my notes in order. So I said I hate this nickname. Like why do you need to shorten Lydia to Liddy? I don't know. But
And then lids.
yeah, I just said hey this nickname, but she seems really cute and I wrote spoiler for Fourth Wing, which we've already said a few things about Fourth Wing, but I said I hope she ends up being the new Rhiannon, my gossiping queen, whatever. And then I said, why the fuck did she blurt it out to Avi? And then I wrote, little fucking cunt. And then I said, wow, is she actually the new Dane? Not Rhiannon. Except for, I don't know that there's redemption for
That
her.
was about to be my next sentence. Like, you can't be the new Dane unless there is a redemption arc. I do not foresee that, at least for
Mm-mm.
myself. Like, I would not forgive Liddy for any of this. I think that she
No.
is a nasty bitch cunt, and I think that she deserves everything that's about to happen to her, which is hopefully all bad things.
Yeah,
And
agree.
I do feel like it was kind of nice to be surprised by something in this book. Like,
Right.
oh wow, that's, a big surprise. Like, it was nice to have that moment, but I hate that it was this because Ren was the
Yeah.
only reason why she made it through the training program.
Literally.
So to turn that around and just be so ungrateful and such a little spiteful bitch.
No, and she just like little goody two shoes, and like
Yeah.
I should have known better than to trust this bitch who like is such a rule follower. Like
Yeah.
I should have known, I should have learned from Dane. I don't think that there is redemption available to her. But like I will just say I was surprised by every twist and turn in this book. The only one that I saw coming was that Wolf was crossed. That one felt obvious to me.
Yeah.
I say that, but like part of me was wondering at a certain point in time, could Wolf be Travis? Because when she introduces Travis,
I had the same thought. It was so crazy.
okay, because when she introduces Travis, she's like, he's every bit as handsome as his brother, and I'm like, hold on. But then it ended up being Cross, and that worked out fine for me. Like I don't have any like qualms with that, but that was the only thing in this book that I felt like I predicted. The rest of it, I'm just like, this is almost like Kingdom of the Wicked level. Like you don't have any fucking idea that the things that happen in this book are like capable of happening. Like you don't know that that Adrian can. What did she say? Like not fragment, but like
Rewire, I think is what she said.
yeah, like you don't even know that that's a possibility. So there's no way that you could guess that
Yeah.
that's something that
No, that was a
happens.
huge twist that end with Adrian. The
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to say about the wolf stuff was like, for a second there, I really thought like it would be sick and twisted, but really sick if Wolf was like one of these fragments of his mom. And like the reason why there's like all of this weird like connection issues is that like sometimes he's there and sometimes he's not because the mom is just like so fragmented. And I was like, that would be crazy if that were true. But
No, that's
of
such
course it wasn't.
an interesting thought, but yeah, I
I don't
like
know.
that.
I just wanted it to be anybody but Cross, to be honest, because I put him as, sometimes we'll make these documents that we read through before we finish the book, and I just put like Cross, and then underneath the Cross I put like Wolf, and then I put this before we quote find out who it is, but we know it's Cross.
Yeah, yeah. No, it felt a little bit too obvious.
Yeah. And then I thought at the beginning there was a little section where I thought maybe Wolf is like this bomber guy. Maybe Wolf is like the fighter pilot from the uprising, and like we don't
Uh,
So there was a lot of things that could have happened with Wolf, and the one that did happen is like just the most obvious and kind of the most let down.
yeah, yeah. I think the consistent theme for me is that, like, for some reason, I'm not convinced that Cross is endgame. And so I was like, at every turn, looking to see who could possibly be the other love interest.
Yeah.
So I feel, and Wolf was like another example of that. I was like, wait, when are we going
We
to
still
actually
have
meet
this guy in
Wolf?
limbo. This could be the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so next, the only person I really wanted to talk about after this was Jim, but there are a couple more that we could go into. But
Okay.
I feel, Phil, I'm so Utah. It's so crazy. I feel like Jim is the perfect character. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
was a martyr at the beginning. He took care of her. He shielded her. But then there was all these little tidbits of Jim in the middle, training her, helping protect her with the blood mark. And the ending is like literally the last page of this book is him.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he was perfection.
I agree. And I think that this was a really smart call on the author's behalf because everything can be explained by tying something back to Jim. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like he's kind of like her out in every situation to explain why something happened or why she knows something or has some kind of ability. Like, everything can go back to Jim. So I loved his character. Like, even though he was cranky, I felt like he was such a like good caregiver to her. I was really upset when he died, but obviously, like, that had to happen to progress the story
Yeah.
forward. As far as the letter, when she's like, I read the letter and then like couldn't believe what was in it and I threw it in the fire afterward, I was like, if I don't get to see this fucking letter,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so mad. Thank God she put it on the last page. But yeah, I now I'm like, I feel like we have more to learn about his story. It seems like he also like was against the uprising, like he hadn't done any work for them in 15 years, but like he still had all of his contacts and
Yeah.
everything. So there's obviously a lot more that we have to learn about everything, but that letter at the end just like threw yet another wrench in all of the happenings of this story.
Yeah. It was so crazy. I did like the letter. I think the letter was probably my favorite part of the whole book because I'm like, this makes me feel so validated for not trusting the uprising and not trusting the company. There's just
Yes.
so many blurred lines. Um, I just like thank God for Jim. He's literally the glue that holds this book together.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so is there anyone else you want to talk about? You wanna talk about
Yeah,
Tana?
I didn't have anything for Tana. Did you have something that you wanted to say
No,
for
not
her?
really. I feel like she represented like Ren's home and that she was like normal before
Mhm.
all of this. But I felt really bad for her and her dad, but otherwise like
Yeah.
nothing really to say.
Okay, yeah. So I did have some notes for like Roe slash Travis slash the general, and I just lumped them together because they all just feel like slimy. Um, but that said, I have a question for you, and that is, so I feel like I could be convinced to like Roe, and I'm just wondering if I'm wrong for that.
In what context? Like,
I really, really, really liked having his character be part of this story. I thought he was like a psychopath. Like,
exactly, psychopath. Like, but why would it the amount of hoops he would have to jump through for me to ever even put an ounce of trust in his direction? I don't know that it'd probably take double what this book took.
okay, so that just a question. Like, yeah, he's insane, but like I was into his character, and like same for Travis. Like he felt obviously off. Like there was something off about
Yeah.
him, when they had conversations, but like there's also I feel like this like mysterious side that for some reason I'm drawn to. And
I
I'm
do
really
like the mystery of these people, and I would love to understand their backgrounds to kind of learn why they're so fucked up.
yeah.
But the thing is they are fucked up. So I'm just like, I don't know that
Yeah.
there's ever a role for really putting any trust in them, but liking them, I think that could happen. And
Okay, and
again,
then
like I think that Roe was likable in the fact that he push the plot forward.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then the last thing that, like, in the kind of same vein is like the general, I never felt, and I think it's because we never had any like direct contact with him. I never felt so mad and like
Mhm.
hateful toward him to the point that like I almost felt bad for him at the end whenever Adrian like
Yes.
fucked up his head.
Me too. I was like, "Oh, no, this man who I don't have any real reason to hate except for, like, he
Yeah.
hates mods," but basically every flashback we got to the world before the company was in charge
Mhm.
put the mods in, like, a really bad light. Like, they hated the
Yeah.
humans, they made them be slaves, and so it's kinda like tit for tat at this point. I don't really feel like
Mhm.
he's this evil, crazy person, and now there's, like, nothing left of him. It's really sad, and I feel like
Yeah.
if that's what happened to his wife and now it's happening to him, it's going to fuck up all of the kids badly.
Yeah.
Worse
Yeah,
than they
I
are.
agree. I completely agree. And I also agree with you. Like, beforehand, the mods obviously treated the proms like shit. And I think that everyone's motives, like, I think everyone's just like a victim of their circumstances. Like, I don't believe either of these two sides of the coin are right or wrong about like
Yep.
the way that they feel about things. So I don't know. It serves for an interesting dynamic, especially when it comes to deciding like I don't really know who I'm fighting for at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and then
yeah.
the last person that I wanted to just briefly touch on was Jade, and Crescent City spoilers. Kind of immediately, she was giving me Lydia
Yep.
vibes, not Lydia from this book, and
Yes.
so I was so ready to like be a fan of hers. I wanted this to play out so much differently. I was hoping that whenever she caught Ren in the like supply closet, she was going to be like, I'm actually, working against them and like, I'm going to
Mhm.
help you or something like that. But I was upset whenever she killed her. Like, I was kind of hoping that at the beginning, whenever she goes into Ren's mind, she actually could see her thoughts, but she was like covering for her just to like make sure, that she was protected throughout all of this. So I hated the way that it worked out, but like when Ren made her kill herself, it kind of fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie. It was like really hard for me to read.
I actually feel the opposite. I loved that scene when she made her kill herself because it was the only way that, Ren was getting out of it alive, which
Mm-hmm.
it's so dumb for that to have happened and then for her to still go to the uprising because of or have to escape because of Liddy. So I'm like, it
Yeah.
almost didn't feel like it moved the needle that much.
Yeah.
But I liked being able to watch her incite and like actually successfully do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
But
sense. Because when Jade first came to the story, I was like, how is this going to play out? And then it kind of doesn't. She's more so just like her opportunity to be able to like have more control over inciting someone. It
yeah.
doesn't serve a purpose beyond that.
And I wish it would have been a different character because I feel the same way as you. I think that if they had roped in Jade into the whole uprising, it would have turned everything up on its head and it would have
Yeah.
made everything so much different. I am glad that she couldn't read Ren's mind because that, establishes that Ren does have
Right.
superior power. But I just feel like, yeah, she was such a good character. She had such sick abilities. I think that she would have been
Mm-hmm.
perfect for the uprising story, but
Yeah, and just to, like, have
alas.
as an ally, like, I'm always looking
Yeah.
for a bad bitch to join our crew, and she was of that ilk, so
Yeah. Okay. So now that we've discussed everybody, let's play favorites. So who was your favorite character?
okay, I just wrote, like, extremely predictable by me, but Kane, like, I think that he's hot even though he's blind, and again, like, I wouldn't be upset if we swapped love interests. No tea, no shade to Cross at all, like, I don't think that that is going to happen. I'm just saying that I'm open to it.
Okay, I agree. I agree
Okay,
wholeheartedly.
great.
Almost put Kane as my favorite character, but in the end, I picked Ivy, and
I liked her.
I feel like we don't know her, but she's very real. Like, she
Mhm.
was not someone that was trying to fake that she wasn't still into Cross or that she wasn't jealous,
Yeah.
but she also wasn't a rat. She didn't tell on them. She did not expose. Rin at the end. I think she might either be a mod or somehow be involved in the uprising scheme and just like kind
Mm.
of biding her time.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's just not such a like company lover.
Yeah.
So, and I just felt like I saw someone's dad the other day on TikTok talking about Paige DeSorbo from Summer House, and she's leaving the show.
Right.
And they were like, "Oh, Dad, are you gonna watch?" And he's like, "No, Paige is the straw that stirs the drink." And that is Ivy for me in this book. Like, I was always wondering how Ivy was gonna come into play because they would be, "Oh, she's sitting right there. She's listening to everything we're saying. Oh, she's kind of coming
Uh-huh.
into our group. You know, she's going through all these tasks with us, and she makes it to to the end." And I just like, I was kind of rooting for her. So
Yeah. No, I really like that call. I'm very curious to see how she plays into the next book. I'm hoping that nothing happened to her. Like I'm hoping that Liddy didn't then tell. Like Ivy knew too, and she was willing to keep this secret. Like I hope that nothing bad happens to her. And then I also really liked when they were in the like the torture part of things, and she was really like beat down, and
mhm.
it felt like she and Ren like really built some camaraderie. Like Ren encouraging her to get through it, and so I definitely am interested in her character and like look forward to seeing what she's got next for us.
Yeah, what we have in store. Okay, what about your favorite scene?
Okay, mine's like a little bit lame, but I really, really liked when Cross finds out that Ren is Daisy. The whole scene felt like really cute to me. Like he
The knife to
felt,
the throat. I was like, finally some action.
yeah, that. But then it was more so like he almost felt like giddy, like a kid, like so excited to be like going through things and to find it out. I just thought the scene was like really sweet, and it was like one of very few moments between the two of them where it felt like they were two real people having a real
Yeah.
conversation, like discussing their relationship with each other.
Yes, I feel the same way. And that's why I wish that would have happened at a point of contention between the two of them. So that way it could have like brought them together and made him realize
Yeah.
how much she means to him and all this stuff. I just feel like in the context of the book, the scene fell flat, but the scene itself was good.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked it. What about you?
Okay, I had two. The first one, that goddamn shower scene. You know, they're at
Oh.
camp and they're in the
Mm-hmm.
shower and everyone's watching them on their side by side showers.
Uh-huh.
I was like, this is the book for me. This is the best
It
book of the
was
year.
good. It was the
Um,
book for me.
and then the scene where they're doing the undercover mission for their like silver block trials, and she has to
Mm.
go and like pretend to solicit a job at the sex, the
Yeah.
brothel.
Yeah.
That was so good, and I was so excited. I thought, okay, we're gonna really build on this. We're gonna keep going back. We're gonna keep learning
Mm-hmm.
stuff and really get some details. But I feel like the missions part of the plot got just totally dropped.
Yeah, no, completely. Okay. That scene was so, so good. And like, I know I've said this 1,000 times already in this episode, but their tension was spot
Incredible.
on. Like it was so good. I even like before the thing with him finding out that she's Daisy, I had even written like the night at the pit night when he like corners her and is
Oh
like
my
leaned up
god,
against the
it was
pillar. Like
so fucking good.
it was like some of the best tension in a book like this that I've read in a very long time. So I was so excited to get to the point where they're like actually, like admitting that they have feelings for each other. Which again, like just fell flat. But the tension scenes
So
were
good.
really top tier.
So good. And the pit nights, I loved the energy of the pit night. Like everyone's kind of
Same.
drunk, everyone's kind of hitting on each
Yeah.
other, everyone looks hot. Um, ooh, one thing, well, we'll talk about this in a second.
Okay.
Let's dial it down. Let's talk some shit.
Okay.
Least favorite character.
Liddy. I wrote Liddy, what the fuck? And then I wrote like, what the fuck? Why? You little fucking rat. Like, I hate this bitch, which is so unfortunate because I thought she was cute at the beginning. And like,
Me
no,
too. And how does it feel that the blonde Enneagram 1 was like the piece of shit?
not good. I'll tell you that much. But like, what the fuck? Like, you don't. Like, whatever happened to being a girl's girl?
What? There is no, there's no girl's girl, there's no real friendship, like, you
Mm-mm.
literally sold out the only person that's been in your corner since day one.
And I love that Ren pointed it out. She's kind of like, after all I've done for you, like, this is how you repay me.
Yeah.
I hate this bitch. I literally, like, I wish her nothing but the worst.
No, I totally, totally agree.
What about you?
Oh, I put Anson. That little fucking freak, I hope he rots. I'm so glad that Tana
Yeah.
killed him, and that I was actually really happy that Tana was the one that got to kill him and that Ren didn't just come
Mhm.
save the day. Tana was like, "Mm-mm, don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Fuck around and find
Yeah,
out,
and
actually."
yeah, exactly, and he did find out. No, he was such creeper, gross, like, just giving, like,
Ugh, sociopath.
Malfoy
Ugh.
energy. The
Wait, hang on.
worst.
There's no Draco slander here.
No, sorry, I meant the dad, sorry.
Oh,
No
okay.
Dracos
Okay,
slander.
Lucius,
No, no,
gotcha.
no, no, no. Sorry, my apologies.
Yes, and it was just like he was just like a little company dick sucker. Like he was like, "I'll do
Yeah.
anything for the company. Like I love this." Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, totally sadistic. So scary. Okay,
Mhm.
what about your least favorite scene?
Okay, so I have like a main one and then an honorable mention. The honorable mention is her killing Jade, which I've already kind of touched on. Like it just kind
Mhm.
of like fucked me up. Like
Yeah.
I feel very strongly about like how Ren discussed several times, but then ended up going against anyway. Like people having their free will and like not having that taken away from them. But my other least favorite scene is just her killing Bryce. Like I just felt like it was really unnecessary. And also, I know that Bryce was supposed to be like the spoiled little daddy's girl kind of like vibe. But I was kind of into her and thought like she was still a baddie through all of this. Like she
Yeah,
still was earning
she was at Silver Elite.
exactly like it's not like she was bad at any of this stuff. It kind of felt like she had earned it. So I don't know, like I didn't like that and I'm like who do we have left? Like you killed Tyler, Liddy, we
Mhm.
fucking hate. You killed Bryce. We already don't like Kess. Now all we have is Cross's ex-girlfriend. So that's the only female friends we have left. Tana's not talking to you.
I know. The thing is, like, that's the thing with the Jade of it all. Is like that could have really been like the bitch, like your
Mhm.
friend. I don't know, but
Yeah.
we didn't do that. And then I also had the part killing Bryce on this list because there was no reason. You're
Mhm.
telling me that you've gone through months of training and they didn't tell you how to choke somebody out, tap
Yeah.
somebody out without murdering them? And it was like accidental. Like she stabbed her in the leg, was like, okay, now I'm gonna
Right.
leave. And then she just bleeds out. Like, why can't they call a healer and like get her fixed up?
Yeah.
It's just so, so stupid. And then her dad's like, yeah, okay, thanks, and leaves. That fucked me up. I was like, you're not
Yeah.
serious. Because I
Mhm.
thought, okay, they're gonna like let her continue to bleed out, and then they're gonna heal her, and then she'll be in silver block, and whatever.
Right.
That was so uncalled for, and it just like I felt like it was a cop out.
Yeah. I do too. Like, I don't want her to get into Silver Elite this way. Like, she
Yeah.
accidentally killed her. It wasn't even on purpose.
Yeah, it just felt really stupid. Like you can choke her out, make her pass out, you leave the room, they go fix her. Like
Yeah.
it could have been as simple as that, but
Yeah.
again, whatever. Okay, my second least favorite scene that I have on the list is every single moment from the time that she showed up to Cross's room to show him that she healed the scars until literally she gets to the uprising and sees Kane. If that whole part was out of the book, I would have loved it. I was so confused when Liddy and Ivy both just like stumble in
Mhm.
and they find out immediately, like, okay, plan is busted. Then, like, it's just all falls back to her just being impulsive and stupid.
Uh-huh.
And then Cross is like, it's okay, we're gonna get you out of here. We're gonna blah blah blah. And then she's like, wait, Cross is not coming with me to the uprising? Like the fucking like captain
Yeah, like,
of the
no.
company? Like, no, babes, he's not coming. And you're lucky that he's sending you with anybody. And then ask me if I give one fuck about Xavier and her in the Blacklands.
The way I was like dying for more of this book. I did not want it to end. And I was like, I have 8 pages left. And we're halfway through the Blacklands. And
Yeah.
I know that we got to get to the other side. Like, I don't want to read about that. Like, I don't care about Xavier literally at all. No, I completely agree with you. The whole thing, like when she's like, I had my scars removed, I was like, you're kidding. Not this. Anything but this
Anything
being
but
the turning
this.
point.
Seriously, I think that there were so many better ways of getting her to the point
Yeah.
where she's at the uprising, and it all falling on her like idiotic decisions. It's like,
Yeah.
then what's the point of her being the female main character if she can't be sound of mind?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I really, really, really didn't like it. Like the end of the book was so twisty turny, and I enjoyed getting to experience that, but I actually hated reading about what all was going on and like how
Yeah, because it's
Xavier's
all her
just like,
fault.
yeah, exactly. And how he's just like careless and like he ran into the red cougar or whatever. Like, I don't fucking care. This is the end
No.
of the book.
Yeah, get me through this part. I did like that we ended off like, okay, we're all getting in the helicopter to go to the uprising. Like, we didn't get more than
Mm-hmm.
that. I was happy that we
Yeah.
ended there. But it just would have been a lot better to skip the Blacklands part or her be alone. It would have been great for her to have been alone.
Yeah.
Because of course now we have to feel bad for Xavier going to the
Yep.
uprising and probably being a
Yep.
prisoner. It just all doesn't sit right. And I'm just so used to like fantasy and sci-fi female main characters being conniving and manipulative and always scheming
Mm-hmm.
and plotting in the background and always thinking 5 steps ahead of everyone else, and she just
Yeah.
did not do that. She just
No,
couldn't.
and she doesn't have the ability to think that way. So hopefully that's something that she starts to learn a little bit more, especially now that she's with the uprising, whose side she's apparently supposed to be on. But like we obviously know we can't trust, and I don't know. This book, the ending was messy.
Yeah, it was messy for sure.
Okay, so last thing, did you have any hot takes?
Yeah, okay. We have touched on all of these a bit just by virtue of the way that this podcast goes, but she should have fucked Kane way, way, way in the beginning. And then maybe I
Mm.
would have cared that he died. Like, I wanted a full-blown relationship with Kane because in my head, Cross is in game. So we have to go through a bunch of shit to get to that point. It should
Mm-hmm.
have been we're fucking Kane this whole book.
Yeah.
Okay? Then he dies, and then we're sad, and then Cross swoops in, and
Mm.
but you still kind of hate him. Like, there was just so much to be left, just so much to be desired
Yeah.
from the romance aspect, and there wasn't enough tension or conflict in the middle and end of the book that I just felt like we should have started off on a different foot.
You know what? I love that take. I feel like I'm like really a Kane stan, and like it's not too late. The opportunity is ripe for her to backtrack now and move on to Kane. Like I'm so into him, which is really crazy. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's just like the romance, like the middle and end of the book. What happened? You did such a good job building it up, and then it truly just fell completely flat.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Okay, and then the second and third we've already talked about. So first, I wish Cross wasn't Wolf. That's been hashed out.
Mm.
Okay, this one is kind of for all you girlies out there who put me down the trail of the Del Rey publishing, rabbit hole. If we've all read this, why are we not believing this is her first novel?
You know what? I had the same thought. Like, I can totally see that. And another thing that I meant to touch on is that a lot of people are saying that this is written by AI, which, like, I'm not opposed to. AI writes short stories for my husband about our dog all the time. They're great. So, I'm not opposed to that. And I think it's totally believable. Like, we have so many critiques of this book and like ways that it could have been done better. And I understand that if this is, from an author that typically writes in a different genre, then perhaps it would make sense as to why like the story didn't unfold the way that we necessarily like would have wanted it to. Um, but I think any tenured author who's working with like a big publisher is able to see those things. And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's completely like conceivable that this is just like a first author. The only thing is that in the author bio, it's like when she's not creating high stakes fantasy worlds and complex characters, you can find Dani, blah, blah, blah. So it feels like maybe it might not be published, but like she has written other fantasy works in the past. They just didn't get picked up because they maybe like weren't good.
I
So
want
I
to hear
don't
about the
know.
complex characters. Let's hear more about these complex characters.
Yeah, where were they? Are they in the room with us now? I would like to know. um,
Okay, so what were
yeah, I
your
don't
hot
know.
takes?
Okay, so I only have one really, and it's just that like I don't think that there's any person in this book who I could not be convinced to like. And I already kind of like touched on this with the Roe and Travis and the general of it all, but like I do not feel utter hatred toward anyone except for now Liddy. But and then I just kind of like to elaborate like I don't know if it's poor writing is if that's the reason why I don't like or don't hate anyone, or if it's actually genius because now I'm also confused about who the villains are. I don't at present I'm convinced that the uprising is more like evil than the command, but I think that both are in the wrong. I think that nobody is like doing things correctly, but like I was like thoroughly entertained by Roe. I wanted Jade to be our ally, and then even Kess, even though like I loved when Rim beat her fucking ass
Mhm.
at the beginning. I love that part, but like Kess is giving me cat vibes from
Yep. She
Iron
could be redeemed
Flame.
easily.
Exactly. Like I'm always gonna be here for that. Like a bad bitch is a bad bitch, and I always am gonna want her on my team.
Yep.
So I don't know. And then even still, like the general, like never ever felt just true loathing toward him. And so I don't know. I think maybe this is perhaps a lukewarm take, but like again, I don't know if this is genius or if she just didn't do a good job telling me who I'm supposed to not like.
You know what? It's hard to know. This is exactly how we felt at the end of Metal Slinger. It's like, was the
Mm-hmm.
book bad? Or did she set you up for the ending to make you question everything? And then
Yeah.
that way you're not so confused and devastated by the loss of like
Yeah.
whatever you had. Um, I feel the same way about the characters. I don't really have such a strong take on anybody. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering now if that was by design. I really didn't like Roe when I was reading about him, but I feel like you drive a hard bargain about forgiving him if he, presents the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's room for forgiveness there. I mean, maybe not forgiveness because like he killed that one Batima. Like
Yeah,
he's a psychopath. There's no getting around that. But like he could be our psychopath, and I'm open to that.
he could be.
Okay. Last thing on the agenda. So we'll do our final ratings. Stars and chili peppers. What you got?
Okay, so this book was so incredibly hard for me to rate because I feel like so background information I finished last night at like 11 p.m. So it's not like I've had a lot of time to sit on this, but in the middle of the book, I was staying up past my bedtime every night. I thought, "Oh my
Mm.
god, I'm going to finish this in 3 days." Like I'm zooming, I'm zooming, I'm zooming. And then I just felt the story fall so flat that I couldn't force myself to read it fast enough. So overall, I'm giving it 3.5 stars, and I feel like that's fair.
Okay.
But not I don't know if that's, like, standard because I haven't looked on Goodreads, but this book is getting so much hype that I feel like it's probably not how it's been rated. How do you
Yeah,
feel?
I looked last night, and it has like 4.08 stars
Okay, so not
on
far
Goodreads.
off.
No, so I think that you're gonna be shocked by my rating. This is one that I rated strictly off vibes, but this was so enjoyable for me, and potentially I say this all the time, but like reading is subjective based off of what you've read recently. I haven't read anything like wonderful recently. I was so entertained by this. Um, so I rated it 4.5 stars.
Nice. Okay.
I, again, like, there are so many flaws in this book. Like, I have a ton of notes, so I can't, like, in good faith give it 5 stars. But if you got me entertained, you got me entertained. And, like, that's
Yeah.
kind of the long and the short of it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And that makes us, kind of as a group even out to the 4
Mm-hmm.
stars. So I think
Yeah.
that we crushed it.
Okay.
In terms of chilies, I gave it 3. But the thing is, I don't feel like the I'm trying to figure out how to word this. It was more about the frequency with which these spicy scenes happen. And a lot of them were
Yes.
tension. They weren't actual like penetration scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there was a lot of like very descriptive tension scenes and a couple of descriptive actual sex scenes. But then a lot of it was just like the frequency with which we bring up the fact that they had sex 4 times last week. It's just like
Right.
over and over and over. You can't really get out of it. But then also
Yeah.
like opening scene, she just fucked this guy and then her and Kane are making out. So I just feel like it was a little bit on the heavy side, but
Yeah.
I was sad for all of it.
Okay, yeah. So I said 2 to 2.5. Again, like tension was so good. To me, the sex scenes, like we finally get to this point, and it felt rushed. Like I didn't
Yes.
feel like there was foreplay. There wasn't like any leading up to it. They're just like fucking like,
Yeah, where
which
was the foreplay?
y-
That's a good point.
nowhere to be seen. And there's a time and a place to have scenes like that. Like there, if you've gone through something traumatic and like, you know, that all you want is just to like be close with that person. But like the very first one, you got to build that shit up. Like we've been waiting, and especially in a book like this where the first sex scene doesn't happen until like almost 60% in the book. So we've had all this tension, and now I felt
It
like
needs
the
to be a
experience was,
chapter long.
yes, yes. I felt like it was like ripped away from me almost. Like I felt so unsatisfied by the actual sex scenes. I was more into the tension. Like I'd rather have 10 more tension scenes.
Me too. Those were literally my top 3 scenes.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I agree with you. Like I felt like it was spicy, mostly in just like the amount of times it's either brought up or they are having sex.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that I was thoroughly fulfilled by the sex scenes that we did have.
Okay. Well, so we've got an average of 4 stars and an average of 2.5 chilies. So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, not bad stats.
Yeah, yeah, I
I'll take
agree.
it.
I mean, overall, I think that this book is deserving of people saying, like, you should read this book because I would recommend this to people and just with kind of the caveat, like, it's not perfect,
Yeah.
but it is entertaining. And I
Because
think
it's
that,
probably this
like,
girl's first book. Like, let's be
it,
real.
exactly. And, like, if you want to be part of the zeitgeist, if you want to know what all the girlies on TikTok are going through, read this book and I think
Yeah.
that you'll have a good time.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree with that. Okay. So it's time to pick a chaser. Do you have, tell us about what we have in store for July.
Okay, so for July, funny enough, this was actually going to be the book for June, but it kind of like didn't come out at the right time, and Ashley needed to read it early because she's going to Scotland and blah blah blah. However, this book I'm very, very, very excited about. It's another like really popular book, super like all the girls are talking about on TikTok right now. And that book is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, who also wrote One Dark Window. Ashley and I both read the series, loved, thought she did a fantastic job. And so I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, this is something that I've been waiting for. I
Mm-hmm.
actually saved One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, the second book.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read those until January of this year. And let me tell you, I'm so pissed we didn't get to review those on the podcast. We should
I
have.
know.
They were amazing. And so I've been dying to read something else by Rachel Gillig. Now, if
I
you are
know.
going to pick up the book for the podcast, you might need to ask your Barnes and Noble attendant if it's behind the counter because they are not giving her freaking, like, they're not giving her
What?
her moment. They're not putting it out everywhere. But I think it's because they think people are going to steal it. That's what it seems like. Like,
Okay.
give
Well,
Rachel Gillig her flowers.
seriously, like she deserves them. One Dark Window was so good. And like, by the way, this is a completely new series by her. You do not need to have read One Dark Window to read this. I'm really excited. The cover is like quite interesting. I don't know. I'm like someone who's quite freaked out about moths. And so I don't like, I don't know how I feel about it, but I am excited regardless.
That's interesting. And I remember we had talked about this book for a while, and you told me it was called The Night and the Moth. And I was thinking it was night, like Night, but it is
Okay.
apparently Knight.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking The Night and the Moth, like that makes sense. You know, the moth's going to find the little
Oh, yeah,
flame or
yeah,
whatever at night.
yeah.
Okay. So now I've got to, like, rewire my brain. But I think it's going to be really good. Rachel Gillig has thus far not let us down. And I don't think she's going
Yeah.
to start today, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. So, that episode, hopefully, we'll be able to read the book in time, get the episode out in time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the club. We are available on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. We also have all of our Gargy Pargy videos that Katie edits available on YouTube. So if you are following us on YouTube, please subscribe. Please give our videos a thumbs up. We love seeing all of our comments and interactions on YouTube. We also have TikTok. We have Instagram. If you have any recommendations for books that you want us to read in the fall or the winter, just send us a DM there. We would love to have a follow as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right, guys. See you then. Bye.
Bye.